Folks, I have a few stories for you today.
Joe Biden sold nearly 1 million barrels of oil to a Chinese gas company that his son Hunter may still indirectly own a stake in. This is according to the Washington Free Beacon.
The first one is sad and unfortunate. Former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, was assassinated at a campaign speech after getting shot in the back. I'll read different perspectives on Shinzo Abe, including from President Trump, Democrats, remember some iconic moments, and scrutinize psychotic media like NPR, calling him a divisive arch-conservative after deleting their tweet and leaving up ultra-nationalist instead. Why does NPR get our taxpayer money? They've actually written an article about me. It sucked. It was a smear article. Am I paying taxes so a bunch of degenerate gremlin losers can talk trash about me? Doesn't seem fair. Next story I want to talk about is Joe Biden sending U.S. oil reserves overseas as our own gasoline prices stay high, and even some mainstream reports from Fox News and Washington Beacon that Biden sold 1 million barrels from U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve to China-owned gas giant. We're gonna watch and look into that.
Joe Biden sold nearly 1 million barrels of oil to a Chinese gas company that his son Hunter may still indirectly own a stake in. This is according to the Washington Free Beacon. The Biden administration announced in April they were selling Strategic Petroleum Reserve barrels to the Chinese state-owned oil company Unipec, also known as Sinopec.
And as Germany's suffering possible bailouts and huge energy issues based on the Russia-Ukraine war, we're going to revisit how doofy left-wing media made fun of President Trump, who tried to warn them years ago.
Germany will become totally dependent on Russian energy if it does not immediately change course.
I also want to shed some light on how the Army is mistreating about 60,000 people who are unvaccinated, and military.com is reporting they're cutting them off from pay and benefits. Hope you enjoy this live stream. The show starts now. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good day. So I have a few stories. I hope you stick around for the Joe Biden. There's mainstream reports and Reuters that he's taking our reserve oil that's supposed to be for emergency in America and sending it to Europe and Asia. So the Free Beacon did a big story on how that's connected to China. We'll talk about that. First story is Shinzo Abe. I know Trump loved that guy. He always talked about him being his friend. He was assassinated at a campaign speech. He was not the current prime minister. I believe he was the former prime minister, but he was out doing some sort of campaign speech and got shot in the back. I just want to read a few things, and then I'm going to show you like a bunch of different perspectives on it. But, you know, what was the motive? I think a lot of people are wondering, why did it happen? So I have Bloomberg and also Asian News up here. It says the gunman has been identified as Tetsuya Yamagami, 41. And an unemployed former member of the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, Japan's Navy, who's being investigated for murder following the confirmation of Abe's death. NKH reported that he worked for the force from 2002 to 2005. What has he said? It says Yamagami told the police he held a grudge against a certain group and that he intended to kill Abe because he believed Abe had ties to that group. So that seems to be the mainstream reporting on the motive. They're not saying, but even in Asian news, it says the suspect who allegedly shot Japanese former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe told police that he had a grudge against a specific organization. So for those wondering why the motive might be, we'll see what happens. But right now they're saying he held some sort of grudge against the organization. Really sketchy. I'm sure eventually it'll come out, but weird stuff. So real quick, I want to play this clip. This is like the most iconic clip that went viral in America and really, you know, brought Shinzo Abe to the highlight here. And it's like Trump and him feeding koi fish. I just want to watch it real quick. If you notice, I mean, it's so petty and it's so dumb, it's not even really worth revisiting, but we will just because I played the clip. You see Shinzo Abe, he throws like the whole thing of koi fish food in, and Trump did the same thing. And they like edited it out of context, and the media, just because they hate Trump so much, they're like, oh my God, he's so dumb. He just threw all the fish food in. And it's like, that's the level of reporting. You know, they don't seem to care about who was on Epstein's client list. They don't really push back against anything of value. Anything that Trump's doing that is interesting, they don't talk about it. It's like one big, just stupid TMZ thing. But I remember that was like a huge story for a month because this country's so dumb. I mean, I love America, don't get me wrong. I love this country. I'm very grateful. But it's like our media is just so corrupt and so dumb. We're going to talk about how dumb and corrupt they are. But here's just like, I got some left wing, some right wing, I guess messages to Shinzo Abe. So I'm just going to play this clip I made before the live stream. Just a few reactions from right to left. President Trump said on Truth Social, "Really bad news for the world. Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is dead. He was assassinated. His killer was captured and will hopefully be dealt with swiftly and harshly. Few people know what a great man and leader Shinzo Abe was, but history will teach them and be kind. He was a unifier like no other, but above all, he was a man who loved and cherished his magnificent country, Japan. Shinzo Abe will be greatly missed. There will never be another like him, President Donald J. Trump." Jack Posobiec said, "Shinzo Abe has been one of the fiercest anti-communists in all of Asia and was never afraid to stand up to the CCP. He dedicated his life to defending his country." Adam Kinzinger said, "Prayers for Shinzo Abe. The early news is not promising." Notice how Adam Kinzinger has a Ukraine flag in front of the American flag. If you're going to put a Ukraine flag in your bio and you serve in the United States government, you should at least put the American flag first. But this doofus fittingly puts the Ukraine flag before the American flag. Ben Rhodes, Democrat, said, "Just unbelievable news out of Japan. Impossible to overstate how important a figure Shinzo Abe has been there and how rare gun violence is." Of course, has to make it about gun violence. Dave Sanger of the New York Times said, "In my 6 years as a correspondent and New York Times bureau chief, the only shootings I covered involved Yakuza arguing over territory. Even those were rare. For political assassinations, you have to go back to the 30s. Prayer for Abe Shinzo." And NPR, after calling him a divisive arch-conservative, deleted it and left up former Japanese prime minister and ultra-nationalist. So just a few takes from both sides. Yeah, just a little compilation. I had Trump's opinion, Jack Posobiec's opinion, left wing. It's like gun violence. You got Adam Kinzinger with the Ukraine flag in front of the American flag. So cringe. I mean, it's just, I guess, my perspective before I move on to the Biden oil China scandal, which I think is important. Rest in peace to Shinzo Abe. He seemed like a nice guy. If left-wing media is calling him an ultra-nationalist, it probably means he actually liked his country. Because in America, they love you. If you hate your country, you hate yourself. You do weird stuff to kids. That's when they think you're amazing. But if you actually like yourself and appreciate your home country, they call you ultra-nationalist, ultra-MAGA. So the fact that NPR is mad at him, probably a good sign. I mean, I don't think this, rest in peace. But when it came to vaccination and stuff, I don't think this guy was like a revolutionary. He seemed pretty status quo, somewhat in line with Trump, I guess. Maybe he was more conservative leaning. He definitely wasn't divisive in Japan. He won all his elections pretty easily, or at least a lot of them by a lot of points. But that's what they do to you. Whether you're alive or dead, they lie about you and just try to make you seem like a monster. Rest in peace. We'll see what happened, why this guy got killed, who did it. I know there's a lot of speculation, theories, etc. Let me know what you think. Unfortunate, very rare in Japan, and although they're trying to make this like a gun violence thing, very rarely happens in Japan, and I believe it was a homemade shotgun. So once again, obviously weapons can be used, but if somebody is bad and wants to do something evil and wants to commit a crime, it's like you can't outlaw the crime. You could try. It's like, why is there so much crime in Chicago? It's illegal. Shouldn't it not be happening since it's illegal? It's like criminals don't follow the law. But, before I go on to the next story, I listened to Tucker Carlson debate with some left-winger. I think Tucker Carlson can be challenged, and I don't think he's perfect or anything, but the way left-wingers debate is just so, they're so disingenuous. They're so sneaky. It's like, oh, don't interrupt me, Tucker Carlson. Then the left-wingers interrupting him the whole time. He's just trying to paint him to be all this sort of stuff. It's just so annoying. So I see the media doing the same thing with Shinzo Abe. Let me know what you think. Do you think he was a great leader? Do you think it was like a political assassination? Do you think they're lying and somebody set it up? I don't really know. I'm going to wait for more information to really make my opinion, but I will try to read some of yours at the end. All right, I want to get into this thing real quick, and I'm going to play a clip first of CBS talking about Hunter Biden, potential corruption, and then Fox News covering the Free Beacon story about Biden sending oil to China. But I guess it's getting bad out there if CBS, I think I said CBS, but if I didn't, CBS is even reporting on Hunter Biden's corruption. So here's just back-to-back clips, semi-unrelated, of, Hunter Biden and then what's going on in China. Let's take a look.
Based on our investigative unit's reporting, the U.S. attorney in Delaware has been probing a number of issues. They include tax fraud, tax evasion, money laundering, as well as whether Hunter James Biden and their business associates complied with foreign lobbying laws. What I can also tell you based on our reporting is that there's a lot of noise and static in the system. Based on my experience, that can be an indicator of conversations and discussions between the two parties on whether they can reach some kind of plea agreement.
Joe Biden sold nearly 1 million barrels of oil to a Chinese gas company that his son Hunter may still indirectly own a stake in. This is according to the Washington Free Beacon. The Biden administration announced in April they were selling strategic petroleum reserve barrels to the Chinese state-owned oil company Unipec, also known as Sinopec. But in 2015, Hunter's firm, BHR, bought a nearly $2 billion stake in Sinopec. In November, Hunter's attorney claims he divested his stakes in his Chinese holdings, but as of March, Chinese records still listed him as a 10% owner in the firm, BHR Partners, which a Georgetown professor valued to be worth a cool $20 million. The sale happened in April. As of this moment, we can't say for sure that Hunter has an ownership stake in this company, nor can we say that he directly profited from the sale. But what's indisputable is this: Hunter Biden is not a Chinese economist. He's not a Chinese energy expert. The only reason why the Chinese would cut him in to their company is so that he can peddle influence back in Washington with his dad and get them really great deals. And you know what? It looks like he did his job. We'll bring you more on this tomorrow.
So those are just two perspectives from CBS and Fox News. I want to read, just real quick, Reuters from a few days ago. Reuters, this is the headline. I'm just reading it. Oil from U.S. reserves sent overseas as gasoline prices stay high. So just off the base, no matter where you're sending it, I don't care if it's to our allies, to our enemies. I mean, obviously it matters a little bit, but why are we taking U.S. reserve oil and sending it overseas? That's a major red flag. Our prices are higher than ever. If you're going to tap into the oil reserves in America, you don't want to, and then they try to fact check, and they're like, fact check, it's not Joe Biden's fault, it's all Putin's fault. Fact check, he's not stopping drilling. It's like, it's not debatable, really. I think Trump wanted more pipelines, more drilling. Biden's rolling back on that, obviously, but you can't say it or something, or these demon little gremlin fact checkers come out from under like the earth and they're like, I'm an operative, stop telling the truth. But anyway, why amongst I think it's like $6.50 or something I just paid for gas the other day, we're taking our reserve oil and we're sending it overseas? Guys, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's not just a Fox News idea. It's like mainstream report, Reuters. So I'm going to read the article real quick. Oil from U.S. reserves sent overseas as gasoline prices stay high. More than 5 million barrels of oil were part of a historic U.S. emergency reserves release to lower domestic fuel prices, were exported to Europe and Asia last month, according to data and sources, even as U.S. gasoline and diesel prices hit record high. The export of crude and fuel is blunting the impact of the moves by the U.S. President Joe Biden to lower record pump prices. Biden on Saturday renewed a call for gasoline suppliers to cut their prices, drawing criticism from Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. About 1 million barrels per day is being released from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve through October. I mean, maybe I'm unaware. I mean, I'm not acting like I know everything. Maybe there's some sort of strategic advantage to giving oil to Europe and Asia, like for our own prices. I don't see it, but maybe that's the case. It's like they're trying to act like he's going to lower gas prices in America by giving oil to Asia and Europe. Maybe there's some sort of like 5D chess play at hand there. I don't think so, but it's like we can't drill for our own oil, but then we're running around begging like Saudi Arabia and Venezuela for oil when he doesn't want to drill as much as, Trump here. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I think with the Hunter Biden stuff, it's just like so obvious. It's so obvious. The dude was like allegedly, potentially, reportedly pictured evidently like smoking crack or something. It's like, what? Oh, he's this wizard that sent overseas, is working on all these like boards. We know how politics works. The reason that big pharma lobbies Washington, they don't do it because they're just trying to, make America great again or something. They're doing it because they want influence. That's what lobbying is. You give money, you get influence. Whether you're the cigarette company, big pharma, big agriculture, oil, even now climate change has become this massive, money thing where everybody's, putting their ducks in a row for that. So that's what lobbying is. So if you're the president's son, people are thinking that, well, why are you sitting on this massive board getting all this money? You look at the Ukraine stuff. I don't know if people remember. I think most of my audience does. Ukraine was in the news for years before there was a Ukrainian-Russian war, and it wasn't for a good reason. It's like all of these backdoor deals going on there. If you look at the Pentagon Papers, the amount of times that people are named, it's like, certain lists had them as one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Now all of a sudden we're just funneling money there, and the money's not just going to weapons, guys. It's going to their economy. I think billions of dollars in that $40 or $50 billion deal they got is going to their economy. It should be like near treasonous. Listen, I'm all about helping others, but help yourself before you help others. The fact that we have money, billions of dollars to give to corrupt Ukraine to help their economy when our economy is in shambles, we have oil to take out of our reserves to send to Europe and Asia when we don't even have, like good prices here. This stuff is so obvious, but this is what the media does. They brainwash people to care about January 6th and Charlottesville and Donald Trump and all this stupid stuff where people, it's like a bunch of like, people just sitting in the suburbs watching TV, or perhaps in the cities or whatever, and they're like, yeah, I hate myself, I hate my country. It's like, dude, Biden sucks. I'm sorry. I mean, a lot of politicians are corrupt. I believe he just gave a Presidential Medal of Freedom to Megan Rapinoe and like John McCain. That's the new uniparty. The new uniparty is like Obama, Biden, McCain, Romney, Cheney, and people think they're on the right side of history. I'm not saying we're perfect over here. I criticize Trump often, and even some of the, woke Republicans that are just a bunch of frauds too, or whatever, cooler Republicans. I criticize them too, but clearly the uniparty is shifting around Joe Biden and Bush and, Obama, Cheney over there. And there is this new movement that people are trying to get better, and it is getting better. I mean, slowly, and we do get deceived and kind of stabbed in the back quite often, but you get what I'm saying? People, it's just so obvious what's going on with Biden, the corruption, his family, Ukraine, China. Everybody knows. The question is like, what's going to be done about it? When is it going to crack the mainstream narrative to the point where people actually realize that so many of our politicians are compromised, perhaps by China, perhaps by a country in the Middle East that you're not allowed to talk about, or else they'll call it hate speech in most states, perhaps, by Big Pharma. Perhaps they're compromised by Big Pharma. I think that's obvious. Perhaps some of them are compromised in a deeper way by like a, Epstein Maxwell sort of thing. It's like, but as long as everybody's running in the Coliseum of like, the average conversation around politics is so basic. Like you talk to like a normie about politics, and I'm not acting like it doesn't, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but I don't care if people don't pay attention. I think it's actually good to like focus on your life and not get too caught up in politics. But like the average normie that cares, they're like, what's really important? I need more abortions in Texas, and I need the climate change. And it's like, Epstein's friends have brainwashed you into not realizing what's really going on, how compromised they are. And it's crazy. I just saw Pfizer post this meme. I'm about to ratio Pfizer, which like they're probably going to have their operatives mad at me and stuff because God knows Pfizer has a lot of money. Pfizer tweets this out. They say, if you don't believe in science, I don't even see you. That's their little meme. They have a cat with the glasses. It's like, if you don't believe in science, who cares? And I'm about to ratio them. I said, if you're so scientifically confident in the safety of your product, why don't you take the financial liability for side effects, adverse events, injuries, and deaths from it? Right? Oh, science, science, science. That's all they do. Science, science, science. They're like robots. if we say the word science enough, we own science. Science isn't a popularity contest. It's not a drone where everyone follows the same orders. Science is about creativity, innovation, testing, the scientific method, brave souls that went against the scientific narrative and built planes and discovered DNA. It wasn't all the dummies just sitting there agreeing with everyone else that discovered. The greatest scientists ever go against the scientific community. That's how you innovate. Communism is following orders and doing nothing creative, no competition. Not real capitalism, not the fake BS we have, but like competition and creativity is all about liberalism. Real liberalism isn't about following orders like a drone. It's about being different and creative. What happened to you people? So they act like we have science on our side. If you have so much science on your side, why don't you take liability for side effects? Oh, you don't want to? Yeah, okay, there's some science that you're not interested in. Speaking of that, let's go back over some clips. Because one thing that Trump was really good at, I think, foreign policy, he was pretty solid on. And like energy, he tells the truth way more than Democrats. So I found this funny video. I've always seen the, old clips of Trump talking about how Germany is going to eventually be dependent on Russia because they had so much of their stake there. So Trump was talking about it, and they took this little clip out of context, and they're like, fact checkers at CNBC say that Trump is wrong, that Germany's not all owned by Russia. It's like he wasn't saying that the whole thing was owned by it, but he was like, enough of it's owned by it that you're going to be in trouble. So I have this clip of them making fun of Trump for something that is actually happening now, and then I have the clip of him trying to explain it to them. So it's pretty funny to see, this old clip from Now This of them mocking him, and then we're going to, talk about the energy crisis in Germany, and it's like history repeating itself. Germany, World War I, they're broke, they're getting just scammed, they have massive amounts of inflation. It's just like history's repeating itself. It's so sad, but whatever. Here's the clip, just check it out.
Germany will become totally dependent on Russian energy if it does not immediately change course. Here in the Western Hemisphere, we are committed to maintaining our independence from the encroachment of expansionist foreign powers.
I think it's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries, and then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia, and I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas. Ultimately, Germany will have almost 70% of their country controlled by Russia with natural gas. So you tell me, is that appropriate? I mean, I've been complaining about this from the time I got in. It should have never been allowed to have happened. But Germany is totally controlled by Russia because they were getting from 60 to 70% of their energy from Russia and a new pipeline. And you tell me if that's appropriate, because I think it's not. And I think it's a very bad thing for NATO, and I don't think it should have happened. And I think we have to talk to Germany about it. On top of that, Germany is just paying a little bit over 1%, whereas the United States, in actual numbers, is paying 4.2% of a much larger GDP. So I think that's inappropriate also. We're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting everybody, and yet we're paying a lot of money to protect. Now, this has been going on for decades. This has been brought up by other presidents, but other presidents never did anything about it because I don't think they understood it or they just didn't want to get involved. But I have to bring it up because I think it's very unfair to our country. It's very unfair to our taxpayer. And I think that these countries have to step it up, not over a 10-year period. They have to step it up immediately. Germany is a rich country. They talk about they're going to increase it a tiny bit by 2030. Well, they could increase it immediately tomorrow and have no problem. I don't think it's fair to the United States. So we're going to have to do something because we're not going to put up with it. We can't put up with it. And
so the first clip was like Now This, some like left-wing short clip organization. They're putting this was years ago. They put this goofy music behind it and they're like, CNBC experts. They've been doing this for years. The experts say that Trump's wrong, that, Germany's not totally dependent on Russia, just a little bit. You get what he's saying, though. It's like they're nitpicking little things. What he's trying to explain is you're too dependent, whether it's 50%, 70%, 100%. We get what he's saying. Average people, normal people, smart people understand what he's saying. It's not rocket science or whatever you're too dependent on Russia. And this is the whole irony of the whole Trump loves Russia sort of thing. It's the exact opposite. It's projection. Trump, more than other politicians, even though I do feel a little bit betrayed by what he ended up doing with Big Pharma, he actually likes America more than most politicians. You could just tell. You could feel it. You could see it. He likes his country more than everybody else. Putin likes Russia. That's why they hate Putin. I'm not Russian. I don't care for Putin. I'm not a Russian. But he likes Russians. He likes Russia, and that's a massive threat to the global establishment because they don't like leaders who actually like themselves. Shinzo Abe apparently really liked Japan, and now he's dead. A lot of African leaders who, love their people mysteriously died as well. And I think the Haitian president got assassinated. But in general, it's like anybody who likes their country. Trump wasn't working for Russia. It's more like all these other politicians that are mad at Trump are even more compromised than him. You very rarely find people that are less compromised than him. I mean, there's legitimate criticism of Trump, but you don't really see it in the mainstream media or in the Republican or Democrat Party because most of the people that are chirping at him are just constantly like more compromised and just mad he's saying something semi-honest or completely honest, like the energy with Germany. So it's like you really study what Trump did with Russia. He wasn't doing it for Russia. He was doing it for America. It's like it's not in America's interest to start a 30-year war in the Middle East, deplete all our resources, end up ticking off a bunch of people and making everyone hate us and losing money and soldiers. That's not in our interest. So, he wasn't doing in Syria for Russia. I don't think Trump really cares about Russia that much. In some cases, you could even say he was tougher on Russia than Democrats. But it's like he cares about America. Putin cares about Russia, so they got along because it wasn't this backstabby thing. They understood where each other stood. When you look at Germany, you have leaders that hate the German people. In America, they call you ultra-nationalist. It's like if you like your country and don't want to be part of this global communist system where they tell everybody to lock down, everybody to get forced vaccinated, everybody to wear masks. I mean, how dumb are people? It's like, put your mask on. It's like, don't you feel free? Don't you feel free? You're like, yeah, this is healthy for me. Yeah, I'm getting fatter. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting rashes on my face and I'm getting acne. My ears hurt because it's strapped to my ears. But this is what democracy looks like. I just need more abortions. All I need is more healthcare and abortions and government and I'll be good. This is really democracy. This is liberalism. I can't say what I really believe. I can't talk about gender. They'll kick me off social media. This is what it feels like. This is what democracy feels. It's like, how dumb are people? You guys, this is like what slavery feels like. You know what I'm saying? When you can't leave your house, that's not liberalism or democracy. That's like slavery. That's like imprisoning healthy people, quarantining the healthy. They're making new terms to enslave you. Isn't it obvious? Anybody who semi-likes their country is deemed an extremist. Why? Because there's people in the world that want to dictate everything. So if you're Japanese and you love Japan, you're a threat to somebody that wants to control you from the outside, someone that doesn't care about you. If you're Russian and you love your country, or you're Ukrainian and you don't want to lose half your country to Putin and get in this stupid war while Zelensky does cocaine with Ben Stiller, just kidding, he's probably not doing cocaine with Ben Stiller, just by himself. Just kidding. He might not be doing cocaine, but I like to joke about it. But anyway, you get what I'm saying? If you have like an opinion about something that's correct, they hate you. It's so obvious. Trump was a lot of things, but he definitely spilled the truth beans quite often, for the first 3 years. I mean, he was just trying to tell people, like, you're too dependent on Russia. Oh, that's so dumb. That's so dumb. Now it's all literally happening. It's like if you think Russia's they're all complaining about Russia, and then they're dependent on Russia. If you really think Russia's so bad, why are you taking so much gas and oil from them? It's because the leader of Germany doesn't care about Germans. The leader of their European leaders don't care about Europeans. There's only a few leaders in this world that even semi-care about their people. Trump likes America more than most politicians, and there's other right-wingers who are coming up that probably like Americans even more. Putin likes Russians more than most leaders. You know, all this Putin talk, and I'm not like this massive fanboy or anything. I really don't really have an opinion, but if Putin was Stalin, they wouldn't care. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying Putin's perfect. I'm not saying he likes America or he's great for us. I'm just saying if Putin was Stalin or Mao or maybe more appropriately Lenin, they would like him. They want to replace Putin with a Lenin or a Stalin. You get what I'm saying? They don't want a Russian leader who likes Russians. They want a Russian leader who hates Russians and who will play into a communist system. That's what they want. It's the same thing with the Constitution. I'm not saying you can't criticize George Washington, like whatever. I don't care. But if you're Ice-T and you're like, oh, it was made by slave owners, we need to rewrite it. Who do you think's going to rewrite the Constitution? I promise you it's not somebody smarter than the Founding Fathers. I'm not acting like they're infallible, but now that I'm actually wiser than I was when I was younger, I'm reading this and I'm like, wow, you know, these politicians are really dumb compared to, I mean, everybody from history, really the Founding Fathers, Booker T. Washington, Malcolm X. You read anybody, black, white, from the last 200 years that was like semi-influential in a positive way. You know, it's not like we know everything. Now there's, you know, the Bible, you know what I'm saying? If you're into like Taoism, Tao Te Ching, these are documents from thousands of years ago that are better than anything today. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're so much wiser than they were back then. Not really. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're like twerking, like eating Cheerios and, you know, just like guzzling alcohol and just getting fat. You know, it's like we're not that great. I love America. Don't get me wrong. It's the greatest time to be alive. But as a nation, as a people, we're not like that amazing. You know, like we're actually kind of disgusting as a whole. And I'm not above it. I'm just saying it's time to make the world great again and stop like being like, we're so much better than the Founding Fathers. They would laugh hysterically. They'd be like, what are you doing? This is disgusting. But no, you get what I'm saying? So it's like we got to be very careful to not knock down a building and act like we could build something better if we can't. In this case, we want to preserve the freedom of speech, the Second Amendment. They're good documents. And anywhere in the world, you know, rest in peace to Shinzo Abe, but anywhere in the world, whether it's Bolsonaro, who's a heavy critic of Pfizer and Big Pharma. Bolsonaro's one of the most powerful leaders who probably is going to lose the next election after he has, you know, criticized Pfizer and called them out for not taking liability. Anybody that questions Big Pharma, big government, communist system, energy, the new energy agenda of climate change over oil. And here's what I have to say, and then I'm going to get to your comments. I want to just, anything I talked about today, whether it's the Joe Biden thing, the Shinzo Abe, I want to put some of your perspectives on the thing. In history, in communist history, millions of people, I know Hollywood has all these glorious / like really evil, like, you know, representations of what happened in World War I and World War II. And I'm not saying some of them didn't happen. Like, obviously, like there was a lot of just chaotic, evil stuff. But one of the less glorious ways that people are killed by the millions is starvation. You know, communists have killed millions of people, if not tens of millions of people. When you add in China's communist regime of Mao Zedong, starvation. So when these communists and these left-wingers that support communism, either behind closed doors or right out in your face, say, oh, we need to get rid of 70% of your livestock in order to fight the climate. Yeah, wow, what happens if you get rid of 70% of the food supply? I don't know. Maybe you starve 70% of the people in 10 years. Oh, we messed up. The scientists were wrong. The experts were wrong. Inflation's here. We didn't know. We didn't know. It's like, you know, this is how they kill people, starvation. So I'm not telling people to be scared about it, but when these communists come through and they say that they're going to fix the climate if they starve and destroy farms, just remember that it's the same way that they've killed people in the past, starvation. So whether they do it purposely or by mistake, it doesn't really matter. If you starve millions of people, you starve millions of people. So in the past, it's not like the communists came and they're like, hey, we're going to kill you. You know, they don't just tell you like, hey, we suck, we're lying, and we're going to starve half your family. It's like they don't do that. They come through, they say, social justice, oh, the rich are so bad, we're going to fight the Donald Trumps and the Elon Musks. They do it every time. So, you know, just be very cautious, left-wingers, when you think you're fighting the climate with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Netherlands suggests that 70% of livestock get, reduced by 2030, they're going to starve you. Cliff notes, they're trying to starve you. Don't hate yourself. Don't hate your country. Don't hate the blessings that God gave you. Don't hate this generation that has blessed you with smartphones and Uber Eats, because if you don't appreciate what you have, you're going to lose it all. So let's get smarter, folks. All right. Let's see. Someone said they will not allow Bolsonaro to get reelected. Well, I think he's also pretty unpopular too in Brazil. He's also really popular, but here's my non-conspiratorial reason that Bolsonaro might lose. And I'm not saying that they might not cheat him. I have no idea. But I'm just saying he was the president during the lockdowns and the pandemic and stuff. Although I think he did a better job than a lot of leaders. When times are bad, it's like a psyop to make people hate the president sometimes. Or it's just reality. It's like Trump is going to win the election. Everything's great, the economy. And then it's like, oh, everything goes to shit. Even if it's not the fault of the president, people psychologically blame the president. So it's why before an election, they like to stir up a lot of chaos, because people just identify the chaos with the president. So I'm not saying that it might not be this, but I do think that the guy running against Bolsonaro is super popular. He's been president before. He was president when it was better than the pandemic. And although the pandemic's in no way, shape, or form Bolsonaro's fault, a lot of people just associate bad times and tough times with bad leadership. So, I think he has a lot going against him, Bolsonaro, because he was president when everything went to shit. And the guy running against him was president when everything was like a little bit calmer. But I don't know. What's my opinion on the UK congressman resignations? I haven't looked too much into it. I saw Boris Johnson resigned or got kicked out. I mean, to me, he's like a total phony. So it's like, I'm sure the person that's replacing him is going to be worse. But Boris Johnson, total disappointment. Same with, what was it, Doug Ford or Rob Ford, whoever the conservative from Canada, total disappointment. I mean, Boris Johnson and Doug Ford are such frauds. They make Donald Trump look like freaking, Michael Jackson. I don't know if that was a good thing, but you get what I'm saying. It's like Trump's betrayal was nothing compared to Boris Johnson's betrayal. Like, that guy was a total phony. At least Trump semi got it together after a few months, even though he was selling the vaccine harder than Bill Gates. That was kind of lame. But yeah, Boris Johnson sucks. So I don't know why they're stepping down, but I don't know. UK is a mess. I mean, I'm sure it's nice there, but the politics, it's like the left wing's far left, the right wing is just phony. It's like they have at least on the right wing, we have like a movement building. People can say what they want. Oh no, you don't get it, I don't vote. I don't care. Make your own channel. This is how I feel. I think there's some losers on the right wing. We call them out. We hold them accountable. People start to boo them, ask them tough questions. But we have a real movement building here in America that you just don't really see in Canada or Europe for the most part. So that's why they hate us. And that's why, regardless of what people want to say, people watch us from all over the place. People are looking to Americans for help. Australians look to Americans for help. Canadians look to Americans for help. We're the real deal. We're the trendsetters of freedom and liberty. Someone said you better learn how to make fertilizer. I just listened to what Anomaly and a few others report. Don't drive too deep until it gets real. Well, I mean, whatever you like. Everybody likes other stuff, but I try to keep it positive, upbeat, optimistic, funny at times, and I like to be as honest as possible. I don't pretend like I know everything. Let me see. Someone said, I'm with your movement, Anomaly. Thank you, Kay. Well, my movement is simple. I'm not really trying to start a whole legion, but I appreciate everybody who watches and shares and everything. Thank you. Just enjoy your life, take care of yourself, and that's really it. Be the best version of yourself you could be. We could all be better. We can all improve. I think real change starts within. So that's the movement. Just enjoy your life, do what you can, and make the most of your time on Earth. Someone said, I'm heartbroken. It's really sad. Shinzo Abe, I mean, you could tell a lot about a person by their eyes. Shinzo Abe had really kind eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't look like a demonic, demon, like a lot of these politicians. Some of these politicians, you look in their eyes and you just see, hell on earth. You're like, this guy looks like a snake. Shinzo Abe just had, very kind eyes. So I'm not, I'm sure he was a little bit in on it. I definitely don't think during the pandemic. Asian culture is different, though. They're way more, not trying to stereotype, but just to be honest, compliant / like masking in China was already kind of a thing. I know Japan's not China, but you get what I'm saying. In Asian culture, it was already kind of baked into it a little bit. So, Shinzo, I think, went along with a lot of the, certain mandates and stuff. But it's hard to not to if your whole country wants to. At the end of the day, you're supposed to be a representative of who your people are. So, he definitely seemed like a nice guy, though. And clearly, if NPR doesn't like him and all the left wingers are calling him like ultra nationalist, all that means is he liked his country. A Japanese leader should like Japan. It's so obvious where it's like, listen, I have empathy and compassion for illegal immigrants. Don't get me wrong. I've worked with them. You know what I'm saying? It's human beings at the end of the day. I'm not above anybody on earth. However, as an American politician, your job is to serve America. It's like if you're a California governor and all you do is care about Texas, you should get removed from office. You know what I'm saying? You should be voted out. You should resign. That's people. It's so simple if you just take away the emotion and the anger of it. It's like American politicians should serve America. America first. That's like a scary term. America first? Yeah. It's like California first if you're a California senator. No? California 10th? Should we care about Mexico more than California? It's like come on, guys. Let's see. Someone said Shinzo Abe made deals with Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying the guy was perfect, but I don't know. Let's see. Someone said farmers are doomed. They're building big greenhouses. I don't like to buy into the doom and gloom. Farmers will be fine. Just keep farming. Just keep farming, and don't let the communists shut your farm down. Someone said secure your oxygen mask before helping others. That's it. You can't help others if you can't help yourself. America is kind of a mess. We have good things, but also bad things. Here's my thing. I know it's easier said than done, but I know Trump ran on we need to make America safer, and he doesn't really have the power to do that, I guess. But I want a leader that's like, listen, all this crime stuff is crazy. Nobody wants to say it, but the elephant in the room is there's crime everywhere. You could act like Texas and Florida is so great, but there's crime there too. It's a little bit better in nicer neighborhoods, but in Florida, you have some really bad neighborhoods. In Texas, you have some really bad neighborhoods. There's really bad neighborhoods in California. There's bad neighborhoods everywhere. Even in red states, you have some of the most dangerous cities in the world. Yeah, they're Democrat cities, and I understand what's going on, but this savage crime that's happening in the inner cities, it's got to stop. I'm not trying to make it a racial thing, but it's I don't care who you are. No one should have to live that way. There are people in this world that are poor that don't just stab their bodega and free. It's this has got to stop. So I would love a leader in America that's yo, we're taking a hardline stance on crime. Is that so bad? A hardline stance on violent crime? You go to certain cities like Dubai, it's there's virtually no crime because there's strict policy for it. You know what I'm saying? In Philippines and certain countries, they have strict drug policies. I'm not really for them, but it's people don't do drugs there because you're going to jail forever if you do. Brittany Griner's still in jail in Russia, but you get what I'm saying. I'm not saying we need that for drugs, but for crime, it's dude, I'm fine with the Muslim policy. It's if you steal, I don't know that they still cut your arm off or something, but it's stop stealing. You know what I'm saying? If you do a petty theft when you're younger, I'm willing to let you off the hook. I'm willing to give people 3 strikes, but it's you're over 21 and you're just robbing places and punching grandmas and stuff. You got to go, bro, for the sake of everybody. So this country is just I don't know, clean it up. Tell everybody in the hood, inner city, any area, listen, we're on your side. We're going to help you. We want to let you win. We want to give you all the resources in the world. We want you, we don't want you to have to live in a dangerous community. But if you're a bad hombre, if you're one of these demons that just kills other people, shoots at children, punches old ladies, steals stuff from stores, you're going to jail forever at minimum. It's got to be this country is just going to shit because everybody, it's especially in the Democrat cities where people are getting robbed in broad daylight all the time in LA. Robbed, smashing windows everywhere. Like, it's a freaking hell now, you know? And people, how does it happen? So it's like, I wish we had leadership that has a zero tolerance policy. You know, I don't care what ethnic group you come from, but no excuses anymore. You know, if you're black or you're Hispanic or you're Asian or you're white, whatever you are, you should want this. If you're a good person, who the hell wants to live in a freaking war zone? You know what I'm saying? Some of these cities are war zones. Someone was like, I was talking to my friend the other day, and he's like, bodegas aren't that bad in New York. And I'm like, I don't know when the last time you went is, and, you know, I don't know where you go. Because, yeah, if you go to a nice neighborhood, it's nice, you know, but I've lived for weeks in these cities. I've stayed with friends, and it's that bad. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not like some sort of softie that's like, oh, I feel uncomfortable. I'm talking like I went to a bodega 3 times, and every time somebody's threatening to kill the bodega owner. Like, this is like status quo. It's like, it's worse than a war zone in some of these cities. No one should have to live that way. And it's like, you know, why are they allowing it? I don't know. It's like, you know, everyone hates the police so much. I'm not a big fan of the police, but if you can't act right, the police are coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to send a police to your house. You're doing nothing. But if you're like, if a bodega owner's getting 30 death threats a day and has to like fend for his life every second because he lives in a freaking war zone, like, that's not okay. That shouldn't be okay in America. And until we clear all that up, we don't have time to run around Afghanistan telling people how to live. We don't have time to tell Palestine to be gayer. You know, I don't think they want to be as gay as us. You know, it's like, you go to like a right wing thing and they're like, can you believe Palestine doesn't like gay people? It's like, oh yeah, maybe they should have a Buzz Lightyear kiss in drag queen story hour. Is that what you want for Muslims now? Like, that's where we have the moral high ground on homosexuality. We're not really doing well here. So it's like, I'm not saying I'm trying to adapt their policy completely, but it's like, we don't have the time, energy, or track record to spread our degeneracy to other countries. You know, like, if we can have a perfect democracy in America, then yeah, maybe we can go around to Muslims and be like, you should do what we're doing. But no one wants to be like us culturally. And I'm not saying America's bad. We're still epic, but, you know, like, socially, we're not. Economically, we are. Liberty-wise, we're doing pretty well, but, you know, culturally, it's at an all-time low. We're spreading our own propaganda against ourselves. Back in the day, they would do like pro-America propaganda everywhere. You know, it's like government pro-America. Now it's like collapse propaganda, where we're just spreading American hate to other countries, and we're doing it to ourselves. So now when you go to other countries, you know, 50 years ago, you're American. Wow, everybody loves you. Now people don't even like Americans anymore because we've spread our own hate. We hate ourselves. You know, we're imploding. And what's fascinating to me, this is just interesting to me, like, studying stuff, like Japanese people that are like nationalistic, they love Japan, they're all Japanese, China's the same. America's a melting pot, right? So you have a lot of cultures came to America, and when they came to America, whether they were Hispanic or white or Asian, they were fed this American dream. You know, leave your other nationality at the door, you're American now. And a lot of people for a long time were proud to be American. And it worked because people were coming here and, you know, it was going well and they were proud to be American and they left their culture behind for America. Nowadays, you have a lot of people that don't leave their culture behind and they stick to what they're doing, which, I mean, I don't care. Like, there's certain Persian people that are Persian. You know, they're like, I'm American, yeah, but I'm also Persian, and I care about this more. You have certain people that are Jewish, black, that, you know, they're American, but they care about their ethnicity or, you know, in some cases religion more than their, you know, their country, which is, I get it. I'm not knocking. I'm just saying, like, a lot of white people, in my opinion, have like an identity crisis because they don't know who they are, where it's like, I'm white, but white's bad. And, you know, the media says white's bad. And it's like, what are you though? Are you Italian? Are you Greek? Because you go to Europe and, you know, I would say Greece is different from Italy. I mean, you could say, yeah, we're all Europe, but there's different cultures everywhere. So I think Americans got kind of duped to like leave their entire culture behind. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's like now people have like this identity crisis where it's like a lot of black people are like, I'm black. You know, a lot of Jewish people are like, I'm Jewish. A lot of like Persian people are, I'm Persian. And a lot of white people are like, I don't know what I am. I'm white. But it's like now they're demonizing white people. And it's not even like a theory, and I'm not hateful about it. I went into a T-Mobile store the other day. You have to just be honest, like America's over 50% white right now. That's just like demographically what it is. I think it's like 60-something%. I'm not sure. Maybe 70s, whatever. I'm in a T-Mobile store, right? I counted, there were 17 pictures, families, people, you know what I'm saying, women, men on phones. I counted all of them, 17 pictures, 0 white people, 0 white people. In a country that's over 50% white, I'm not acting like it's the end of the world. I don't really care. It's just an ad. But it's like they hate white people. You know, liberals hate white people. It's just true. I'm not trying to be edgy about it. It's like, how are you going to do we want diversity. You don't want diversity. And then you say it's a conspiracy theory when people say, oh, you're trying to get, it's like 17 pictures and not, you're doing all this diverse stuff, but not one white person in a country that's majority white. It's a little weird, you know, it's a little weird, but I see what they're doing. Everyone does. But you just, you know, if you talk about it, they act like it's this kooky conspiracy. I'm not hateful about it. I'm actually, you know, multiracial. I'm Italian, Polish, Czechoslovakian, Puerto Rican. I'm all mixed up. I'm just honest about it. It's like, you know, people, they don't, for 30, 40 years, it's like, I'm American, love America. And now they're pumping into kids' heads, I hate America, I hate America, I hate America. So our national unity is like at an all-time low because what people used to have, we don't have race in common in America anymore. We don't have, in many cases, religion in common. So what do we have in common? How can we unite? The only thing we could possibly unite over is our nation, our flag. That's the only thing that unites us. And who's dividing that, right? So they're like, oh, Japan is ultra-nationalistic leader. That's because Japan votes for those people because they're all Japanese and they care about themselves. You know what I'm saying? Russians vote for Putin because they care about Russia. You know, Russians, they're Russian. That's who they are. Doesn't mean they hate everybody else. China is mostly Chinese, you know? It's like, only Europe and America are expected to diversify. And it's not like a racist conspiracy theory. I don't have hate for other groups of people. It's just real. Is African getting less African? Maybe it is. I don't know. Is China getting less Chinese? No. Is Japan getting less Japanese? No. The only places that are diversifying are Europe and America. And they're just getting less white. That's reality. And you go to like a T-Mobile store and they don't even have one person on the wall that's your ethnic group. That's not diversity. If it's not there, it seems like you hate me, you know? I don't care because I'm not like a softie. You're not going to stop my grind or make me feel bad. I don't care. God is great. You know, I don't see this stuff in the real world. People are nice to me. Time moves on. It's all good. I'm just observing. You know, I see what they're doing. Everyone does. But as they're doing it, they're like little snakes where they act like it's a hateful thing that you notice what they're doing. Some people are hateful. I'm not going to lie. Some people are angry and hateful. I'm not. You can't drag me down to your level. That's what Satan wants to do. That's what the devil wants to do. They want to make you mad so they could point at you and be like, oh, they're extreme. They're mad. You can't make me mad. You can't make me hate somebody based on their group. You know, you can't do that to me because God is great and God made all of us, and I've experienced great people from every group. And once you talk to people and you realize, man, this is a human going through the human experience, you don't have hate for people. You know, if someone's born a Jew, they were born a Jew. You know, they didn't ask for it, just like you didn't ask to be born a non-Jew or a Muslim, or, you know, it's religion's a little different than ethnicity, but you get what I'm saying. It's like, I don't hate on somebody based how they were born. I judge them by the content of their character. However, I'm allowed to notice patterns and trends and, you know, demographics. Like, am I not? Yeah, I can't notice where all the high crime cities are in America. I can't notice the demographics of that. That's racist. No, it's not. It's math and science. It's reality. That's what's going on. I can't notice that T-Mobile stores don't put people that look like me on the wall. I don't care if a black person wants to complain and be like, there's not enough black. That's on them. You know, that's their human experience. That's what they see. That's what they care about. That's what they want to bring up. But I see what they're doing in this world. And, you know, the reason it's so easy to do, in my opinion, is because white people don't have a national identity or a racial identity. And other groups, it's funny because the media acts like white people hate others and white people are so, you know, like supreme and it's like supremacist, whatever. And it's like, it's actually the opposite is true. Like if you go to America, most white people have zero racial identity, zero national identity. They don't care. It's like other groups of people that care more. If you go to Koreatown, they're way more nationalistic in Korea, you know? and like of their people. If you go to North or South Korea, they're way more nationalistic. Japan, more nationalistic. China, more nationalistic. It's like we're one of the least nationalistic countries, least racist countries, and white people have probably the least racial or national identity out of any group. Black people care about black way more than white people care about white. When you talk to most white people about what's going on, they're not even fighting it like, they're just like, it's just getting annoying. You know, like they don't even care. They're just like, just leave me alone. Just stop blasting propaganda in my face. It's annoying. You know, it's not like they care to retaliate or do anything. So it's like the media is always inverting it. But, you know, to me, it's like, I've always thought, this is just my personal experience. Like, I'm Italian, I'm Polish, I'm Czechoslovakian, I'm Puerto Rican, possibly I'm split in other ways. If I had a DNA test, I'd probably have like a bunch of different European in me. But it's not, to me, it's not the most interesting thing about me, or it's not, I didn't choose to be it, so it's not something I like care a lot about. That was just my experience growing up. I'm like, yeah, you know, I never really cared. Like, I didn't want to go to the parades and stuff. It's like, I'll eat pierogies, you know, I'll eat Italian food and it tastes good to me, but I never really cared growing up because it's like, I didn't, you know, to me, I'm like, I want to be a soccer player. I want to play poker. I want to do advertising or whatever. It's like, that's what my passion was. It wasn't like what I looked like or what my skin color was. But now that I'm older and I see how politics are going, it's like this thing where me on a human scale, I judge others by the content of their character. I don't hold their race, ethnicity, or gender against them, you know, as an individual. But on large scale, when you're talking about politics and societies, it's impossible not to talk about it, right? To talk about demographics, to talk about racial patterns, to talk about national identity. Like, these are things that are really happening and it's worth talking about. And all I'm going to say is this, and I'm going to move on and get to some of your comments. This conversation that I just had over the last 20 minutes, no hate, no anger, no negativity. You could feel the love, you could feel the peace, you could feel the honesty. This is a conversation that left-wingers could never have. They're too fake. They're too dishonest. They're too evil. You know, they act like they're so nice. No, they're not. You could feel the love when I'm talking. There's no hate at all for any group. You listen to a left-winger talk, oh, you're this, you're that, you're this. They're fake. They're phonies. You know, they could watch the last 10 minutes and they know exactly what I said is true. They know exactly what I said has no hate in it, and they know it's just the reality of like science, math, demographics, you know, population, culture. When you mesh different cultures together, it has a different social effect. It's all just like social psychology, and it's worth talking about and having discussions about, but they can't have it because they're just liars. It's the same thing as like gender. It's like, listen, I don't care what you choose to do in your life as long as you treat others well and you don't, you know, like molest children. But at the same time, it's like I should be allowed to talk about the differences between a man and a woman. If you're left wing, you can't talk about the differences between a man and a woman. You can't say anything about homosexuality unless you're just like on your knees, literally and metaphorically. You know, you can't talk about race. You can't talk about gender unless you're hating on one race. Oh, I'm not a racist. All I'm going to do is just hate on white people all the time. It's like, they're the most hateful people I know. Yeah, there's people on the right that are hateful as well, but it's like, you know, I'm responsible for me. I'm not responsible for Donald Trump and Joe Biden. You know, me pointing out that AOC is a little crazier than me doesn't make me not crazy. Like, me being me decides where I am on that spectrum. So many people, you know, on the left, they love to just point to the right because it makes them feel superior. It's their like liberal supremacy, you know? Gay people don't want to be joked about. Not all, I would say not even a majority, but the loud ones that write for like, you know, blogs, they don't want jokes about them. That's LGBT supremacy. You think you're above a joke? Black people can get joked about, women can get joked about, men can get joked about, white people can get joked about, Asians can get joked about, Christians and Muslims, but you can't get joked about because you're transgender? What are you, a supremacist? You know, it's like all this is just like linguistic tricks, you know? It's like they're the biggest supremacists, they're the biggest haters, they're spreading the most negativity, they're the most racially hateful that I've ever seen in my life. You go to the right wing, and I'm not talking about everybody because there's fringe groups that have different feelings, but if you want to be honest, like my honest analysis of the Republican Party, they don't care about anything. They're actually like socially void to a fault. I think they're doing too much in my opinion. But, you know, they're like, we don't care who you are, gay, black, white, Asian, you know, transgender, just vote for us. Like, that's literally the Republican Party to a fault. To a fault, they have no social identity to the point where they just become the slippery slope. They have no counter to the left. They just become the left. to a fault. You go to the left wing, it's all fake. They're like, we care about gender, race. No, you're the same. You just want people to agree with you. They just don't admit it. So it's like, it's this whole world where they have to just pretend. It's like playing make-believe the whole time. Like, yeah, I know what Anomaly said is true, but I can't say that because I might get fired. I can't say that. My friend might get mad. It's like, it's living like a shelled life where you're just afraid to like say something. It's very, very toxic. But before we move on, I just want to say, to people that feel this way, just my best advice, and I'm not trying to like be an advice giver, but take the hate out of your own heart. Take the anger out of your own heart. There's a lot of people on the right that are angry and hateful and emotional. And to me, that's how the devil wins. They want you to be angry, so you look angry. They want you to be hateful, so you look hateful, because you are, take it out of your heart and attack these topics with no hate, with all love, because you're more effective that way. It's the same in UFC. They beat the crap out of each other and then they hug each other afterwards. They don't hate each other. They're just fighting. I mean, sometimes they do, but most of the time you can't be angry or emotional. If you're angry or emotional in a UFC or a boxing fight, you get whooped. You make a bad move. You got to play defensive too. So, I'm not just saying this to people to be like, oh, Anomaly wants me to be softer. It's like, no, they want you to be mad. The devil wants you to be mad. The left wing wants you to be mad. They're not going to admit it, but they secretly love a Charlottesville and a January 6th because it gives them political fodder. They raise so much money off it. The news stations make so much money off January 6th. When people freak out at the Capitol, and most people do nothing, but some people do something, they get like a 2-year rating bonanza off it. They want an event to go awry so they can win an election. I mean, they won't admit it, but it's true. It's like that, they feed off of your mistakes and vice versa. So, don't give them any more reason. Don't be hateful, because there's really no reason. You can love your tribe without hating another tribe. True love is like, hey, there's people that I love that's like, I don't live like you. I don't want to be surrounded by that. But feel free to do what you want. Just keep it away from my sphere, So you don't, it's not just for to combat the other side, but it's just in general. It just feels better when you're not angry and hateful. There's no need. But you can combat evil. I'm not telling people to be like passive. It's just like combat it with real strength. To me, real strength comes from love. And it's like, if they, if they see that, it's a lot harder for them to like debunk it. I was on Eric Griffin's podcast. He's a comedian. And when he introduced me, because I listen to his podcast sometimes, shout out Eric Griffin. He's funny. He's like very moderate. He's kind of on the fence. Like, he's kind of liberal, but he's also like not completely brainwashed. So he's also like very reasonable. I like him a lot. He's a common sense guy. But when I went on his podcast, he's like, like LA type guy. He's just like, I tried to debunk your videos, but I couldn't debunk the videos. So I like you, so it's like, that was like the intro was like, he watched my videos to try to like debunk it, cause it's like more right leaning than he is, but he's like, I couldn't. And I realized I agreed with you. And it was so cool to hear that. Cause it's like, a great argument. When you're hateful, it's easy you're actually like repelling people. I said it yesterday, and maybe not in the best light, in the best example, but a lot of people hate Christianity because they just met bad pastors and bad priests and creepy people that are just hypocrites, and it made them not want it. The best way to be like in my opinion, like a great pastor is not, and there's some pastors I like that are just like ticked off and it's funny. But I think the best way is to lead by example. So same with information. They want you to be angry. They want you to be unhinged. If you're unhinged, they look at you and say, oh, that's why I feel the way I feel. When I look at like a crazy right-wing like compilation of people just being like annoying, I'm like, this is why kids are liberal. They see that and they're like, yeah, I don't want to be that, They see their parents, and a lot of times their parents aren't, really spiritually grounded and maybe too much, and they're like, I don't want to be like that. So the best way to even get people on your side is just to not be so hateful and angry, because it actually like fuels the other side. They're like, look at that, and then people are like, yeah, I don't want to be that. And it's like, it's not all that. You go to like a right-wing conference, it's nothing like that. People are really nice, it's just they'll take the examples. I mean, to be fair, I would say left-wingers, same thing. Like, there's extreme examples of the left wing. To me, the difference is, though, on the left, like all these extreme cases of like teachers, like you find very few people combating it. Very few people that are like, oh yeah, that's like, the left has to lie too much. The right, as fake as it can be in the Republican Party, I have to say, for as much as I say and as much as I combat it, people like it. You know, they might not do it themselves because they're trying to keep a cushy job, but they're like, I like that. You know, I can't say it, but I respect it. On the left, everyone has to play stupid. It's like you almost have to play dumb. The second you get too awake to what's going on the left wing, you almost can't be left wing anymore. There's a way smaller tolerance for like left wingism than there is right wing. There's a lot more diversity of thought, different ideas and stuff. On the left, it's just like, if you don't agree with all of my policies, you're a Nazi. And it's like, that escalated really quickly. Super chat. I'm going to read some, like, I'm going to do some thank yous to my Facebook too, because I've been getting a lot of like stars on Facebook. So I'm just going to say thank you. Hold on. Someone said Germans will always favor Germans, Italians will always favor Italians, but Americans can't favor Americans. Yeah. No, it's a definite trick. And the crazy part is, you know, the media is doing it to ourselves and people are buying it. So, you know, you could blame the media, but it's like, don't buy what they're selling. You know what I'm saying? Don't buy what they're selling, and maybe generationally it'll work out. I'm not trying to be too dark because I don't agree with what's going on, but like, you know, right wingers, there's like this trad movement of like, have more kids, start a farm. Like, that's the right wing movement. The left wing movement's like, abort your kids and get more abortions. So generationally, you would think that conservatives are going to take over. If you raise your kids properly over the next 20 years, conservatives should, you know, take over the country. And it is what it is, but it's like, if one side's having 4 or 5 kids and they're saying, let's have more babies, and the other side's saying, let's kill our babies, you know, they're not going to have that much power in 20 years. And I'm not advising to it. I still think it's wicked, but like, you know, if the trad wife like trend on the right wing continues, and the abortion culture and like degenerate pop pills, take fentanyl, and, you know, listen to rave music, and I like rave music. I'm just saying, you know, they're not going to win in the long run. It's just like, they're going to overdose on drugs and just be like miserable. Nazir said, may Allah bless your work. Thank you, Nazir. I appreciate it. Let me just look real quick. I'm going to try to find and say thank you to everybody who's done the stars and stuff. Let me see. Live dashboard. Here we go. I'm just going to thank some people on Facebook. I'll just do your first name. Let's see. Achievements. Who's giving the most stars? Is it showing me? I got to find it. Where is it? Oh, leaderboard. Here it is. All right. So I'm going to do the past 28 days. Ready? Here's the leader of stars. These people gave me the most stars. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate you, Cindy. I appreciate you, Christina. Cleo. Thank you, Cleo. Thank you, Sheldon. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Cal. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Lucille. Thank you, Delphine. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Marla. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Hope. Thank you, not available. Maybe you got kicked off. Sorry to hear that. I don't think I blocked you. I think maybe you just got banned. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Deanna. And thank you, Kathy. Those are the top 25 star senders on the leaderboard. So appreciate it. I wish I could read star comments easier. Unfortunately, I just can't. I don't know what's going on. Someone said, is trad short for a traditional? Yeah, trad is short for traditional. There's a lot of movements that aren't even political that are like, eat beef liver, you know what I'm saying, start a farm, eat organic, have a wife, have a lot of kids. You know, that's like a big movement that's on the right wing. And it's a big movement that's like not even on the right wing, but it's just like fitness. It's about like, you know, mental health. There's a lot of discipline movements, because at the end of the day, when there's a lot of chaos and there's a lot of like evil, you know, at a certain point you want to combat it. And the real way to combat it is not to run around freaking out all the time. Work out more, exercise, eat better, you know, have a good family and have a good work life and have purpose. And that, you know, there's huge movements like that. So that's just my thought. It's like, if all these people that actually care about the future and their kids and taking care of themselves have a lot of kids, and all of the people, like, you know, like, how are they combating? I'm not trying to be rude, and it's dark, and I'm not trying to celebrate it, but it's like left wingers are like, get a vasectomy. I'm such a feminist. I'm gonna tie my nuts together, and you're like, okay, yeah, Donald Trump, like, I'm going to stick it to Donald Trump. I'm going to get 4 vaccines. I got you, Donald Trump. I got 4 vaccines and I tied my nuts together. I got a vasectomy to fight the abortion. It's like, yeah, okay, well, you know, conservatives are going to have like 6 kids, but enjoy, yeah, that's going to surely work. It's like getting vasectomies, drinking wine, you know, till you're 55, like living with 15,000 cats, like writing op-eds for Washington Post, tying your nuts together and aborting all your babies. Like, yeah, that sounds like a long-term strategy to really fight the right wing. Like, these people are literally idiotic, for lack of a better word that'll get me kicked off, you know? They're so dumb. It's like, okay, you know, I don't agree with that, but they're like, oh yeah, now I'm not gonna have sex with men. You know, I saw this like Reddit blog where they like, it sounded right wing, but they were left wing. They're like, oh man, we can't get abortions now. Oh dude, men are so screwed. Like, we're not gonna have sex with you anymore. And it's like, good. First of all, a lot of people saying that are not appetizing. At least to me, I have high standards. Don't get it twisted. But you know, in general, it's like that's actually what Christian conservatives want you to do. It's not like this big threat. Like, now we're not going to bang people at EDM concerts and just do Molly. And it's like, good. You know, Jesus will be happy. You know, it's like they act like that's like the big threat. They're like, oh, these guys, they don't even know. Now that there's no abortion, men are in trouble. We're not going to have sex. Like, great. Wait until marriage and you're a full-blown Christian. I'm not saying I did. I screwed up a long time ago, but you get what I'm saying? Like, that's good. We're glad that you're taking more responsibility. That's ideal. I don't need it. I don't need to help you. I'm just saying, like, it's helped me in my life. I think, you know, mental clarity. For a man or a woman, it's a big mental toll to do stuff, sexual stuff, but especially like actual sex, you know. Other stuff to me is like a little, like, you're having actual sex. It's like a whole spiritual, physical thing that's happening to your body. It's like taking birth control pills. It's like altering your body. So I'm not judging what people do because I am a sinner. I've made quite a few mistakes, a lot. But now that I'm older, it's like you're supposed to learn. You know, as you grow up, you're supposed to like learn. I'm not the same person I was when I was 21. I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. I'm learning. And to my credit, I've gotten stronger. I've gotten wiser. I've gotten more disciplined. I'm proud of myself to some extent because I'm always trying to get better, and I'm not perfect, but I've made a lot of strides from the time I was 23, and I've made a lot of strides from the time I was 30. You know, like 2 years later, I'm a better person than I was a couple years ago. That's the point. You're not supposed to act like you're freaking 17 for your whole life. And I'm not saying not to have fun. Act like you're young when it comes to having fun. Act like you're 5 years old when it comes to just the joy of life. You know, I like people that are, you know, whimsical. It's like, have fun. I'm not telling people to be stiff. Like, I like adults that act like kids when they're just like enjoying life. Like, don't be a stiff. But when it comes to like other stuff, you should grow up, you know, and get wiser. Like, don't be a total like don't hate your life, but you know, think about what you're doing. It's actually a great thing. All right, I'm going to take off in a few. Maybe I'll read a few comments. Degenerate Trucker said, I'm in New Commie, York. That's a funny name. Degenerate Trucker. What's up, Degenerate Trucker? I love that. I like how the names on YouTube are not people's real names because they're funny sometimes. But someone said, I think they're slowly setting to push them up. They probably feel they can't win with their puppet. I do think that that's a large chance. People say that Gavin Newsom might run. You know, people are floating Hillary might run. Anybody's better than Biden. Like, I'm not a Hillary fan for obvious reasons, but just being realistic, if you put like Biden clips next to Hillary, Hillary actually seems likable. And I'm not saying she's likable. She's like the least likable person. But like Biden to me is like, I never thought he could win. You know, even before he was like a geriatric patient, I'm just like, he has too many videos of him like touching kids. It's creepy. You know, I thought he would never win, but like now that he's been in office, he makes Hillary look doable. That's why she's like, oh, I'm going to run. She looks like normal compared to Biden. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's a more impressive human than Biden. He's like the dumbest, worst person I've ever seen. Gavin Newsom looks like a skis ball. He literally he looks so corrupt. You know, he looks like a shark. He's like, he looks so bad, but compared to Biden, it's like, yeah, I guess if Joe Biden could win, then Gavin Newsom could win. But in my head, I'm like, Gavin Newsom, like I know, I understand some women think he's like attractive and stuff. It's not like he's like he looks like I'm not going to name someone else because then it's going to be hate speech, but you know, he doesn't look like trustable or likable. He looks just like a skis ball salesman, you know? But if Biden can win, anybody can win. I think that's so they could try to kick him out because he's so bad. He's for sure probably not going to win the next election. So they probably know that. They have a lot of the data, folks. Like they collect I mean, the polls are BS, but you know, data of how many people are transferring you know, from Democrat to Republican, data of how many Hispanics are clearly going to vote Republican, data of elections that have already passed and have, you know, broken 100-year norms. So how do I feel about Pink Floyd selling out? Someone said. I didn't see what they did, but at this point, it's more surprising when somebody's cool. Like all of my past, I don't know if I'd call them heroes, but my past celebrities and musicians I liked, they're like all idiots, you know. It's like Kid Rock is kind of cool, Kanye's kind of cool, you know. Ted Nugent seems cool. I don't know, everyone else is like moronic. So I guess I'm not surprised because like 99% of Hollywood seems either completely sold out or just too afraid to say something. So I don't know. All right, a few more, and then someone said Abe did so much good. You could tell a lot about somebody from their eyes. He had very kind eyes, you know, the shape of his like eyebrows too. He just looked like a friendly guy, looked like a nice guy. Here's the good news though. He did a lot of good. I mean, you know, he lived a great life. He's gonna have a great legacy. How old was he? I don't know. I mean, he had a lot of life left in him, but like Shinzo Abe, how old was he? He was, let's see. I gotta find it. Sorry about that. 70, let me see. Does it say? 1954. Let me do the math. 54 plus 70 would be 20. Oh, he was like 68. Now, he had some time, but I don't know. You know, he was out of office. I mean, that doesn't make it any better, but it's like he definitely made his mark. And I think this will definitely, like, you know, the evil energy of killing him the karma will come back and the good will spread across the world. So I think, you know, it's sad, but his 67, 68. Yeah, he had a lot of time in him for sure. I mean, he could have lived for like 30 more years, 20 more years. Someone said the average Japanese male lives to 96. Yeah, maybe even longer, but very sad, very sad. But, you know, hopefully his energy spreads throughout the world and all of that comes back to haunt the evil people. Someone said, it's Shinzo Abe. I'm sorry, I'm an American. Shinzo Abe. I'm American. We see Abe, we think Lincoln, you know? Shinzo Abe. I get it. Abe. It's fine. If people pronounce my name wrong in Japan, I'm not going to be like, it's anomaly. It's like, it's Abe, for sake, for records. It's like, if Japanese people run up, oh, anomaly, Amelie. I'm like, I don't care. Hey, you know, as long as they like me, it's like, what's up? Oh, it's anonymous. It's anonymous. I'm like, that's fine. Whatever. You know, as long as they know me. I'm American. Okay? I eat cheese dogs. And I say Abe. Forgive me, the green man, for I have sinned. Someone said enough. I'm going to get in trouble for hate speech if I read that comment, but no, it's pretty funny. Someone said, are the fact checkers here? Guys, check your computer screens. Are the fact checkers here? Someone said I'm not a world leader you can correct me, it's fine, but you don't have to be so rude about it. It's like, I don't care. It's like, come on, for Christ's sakes. It's like, dude, I'm not like I'm just a guy. I'm just an American guy. Leave me alone. It's pretty funny though. I appreciate your comment now. In hindsight, I'm actually glad you said it. Someone said Abe Ham ain't blinking. I know that it's so weird that that guy's name is Abe Lincoln. You know, his name is like Anthony Blinken or something, or it's like Abe Lincoln. When you say his name, the guy who works for Biden, the sneaky guy. Someone said, don't use Windows 11 for your internets anymore. Are you talking to me? Or I don't think I use Windows. I don't even have a Microsoft. Is this a joke or something? Someone said, I'm giggling. Good. Live and let live, free speech warriors. I'm free to mispronounce any name I'd like. That's the American way. We just mispronounce everything. It's okay. When I do French, people are like, that's not how you say Macron. I'm like, I don't care, okay? He's lucky I'm even calling him Macron. I should call him macadamia nut. You know, I'm American. I'm allowed to be ignorant. People are like, it's not Justin Trudeau. It's Trudeau. And I'm like, I don't care. You know, as far as I'm concerned, Canada should just be America. We should invade tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. But I call him Justin Trudoofus as a joke because doofus means you're a doofus. And people are like, it's not Justin Trudoofus. I'm like, I know. That's the joke. And then sometimes they're like, it's not Trudeau. It's Trudeau. It's Trudeau. I'm like, I should call him Tim Horton for all I care. I'm an ignorant America. You know, I should call him hockey player number 75 or, you know, Justin Trudoofus. I don't know. Macron, macadamia. We'll call him the globalist macadamia nut. I don't pronounce foreign things properly. I'm American. I'm like a classic American. The older I get, the more boomer I get. I'm like, it's America. We speak American here. You know, I'm morphing into a boomer. I'm going to be a boomer, guys. I'm gonna be like, get off my lawn. You know. Hopefully, I never sit and watch Fox News for 10 hours because that would be drastic. You know, that would be a huge downgrade. 20 years later, I'm just staring at Fox News for 7 hours. They're like, Dad, you've been watching Fox for 7 hours. It's like, shut up, Judge Janine's about to be on. You just watched Judge Janine. It's a repeat. I gotta see it again. She talked about Joe Biden in China. You know, Dad, it's the third time you watched Laura Ingraham today. I gotta hear what she's saying about, you know, Palestine. The only way to fight the globalists is to give our money to Israel and fight the gay in Palestine. They're not nice to gay people. We need to get nicer to them. We got to go to Ukraine and get, you know, Mark Levin said to give, you know, Zelensky our money. We got to fight Putin in order to save the democracy. It's like, hopefully that never happens, you know, but you never know. I am kind of a boomer. I'm like, we're in debt because Zelensky needs our help. You know, you're in $100,000 a student loan because Zelensky needs cocaine. And if he doesn't get his Colombian imported cocaine, how in the world is he going to fight Putin? If they're not taking lavish, you know, vacations in Switzerland, Ukrainian officials, how in the hell are we going to take down the global establishment? If we don't fight the only place that's actually like building a lot of churches in the world, if we don't fight the only strong like Christian stronghold in the world, if we don't fight them with a degenerate atheist, you know, cokehead, how in the world are we going to fight the New World Order? We need to literally be on the same side as Mitt Romney and Adam Kinzinger. That's the only way. It's like, yeah, Putin's just building too many churches. I mean, we need to side with the atheist puppet for sure. No, but I don't know. Whatever. They're both not my country. I like Russians. I like Ukrainians. You know, it's not their fault. I didn't choose this life, but this life chose me. Michelle said Nevada's 22 primary Operation Sunlight. I'll check it out. I'll check that out. Thank you, Michelle. Someone said I'm Gen X, period. I don't know what I am. I'm a millennial. See, I feel like they gave us a lot of crap. They're like, millennials are so spoiled. It's kind of true, but like the new generation's way worse. Like I look like Meriwether Lewis and Clark, or whatever their name was. What was it? Lewis and Clark? I look like Lewis and Clark compared to like Gen X or Gen Z or whatever the younger kids are. Like when I was growing up, all the boomers were like, you millennials, you never do what we tell you to do. I'm like, ground me then. What the hell are you doing? I didn't raise myself. You know, they're always blaming us. Like, what are you doing, millennials? I don't know. I'm playing video games. Take it out of my hand. You know, Ground me. Do something. Don't let me play Pokemon for 10 hours. I didn't buy the game myself. You gave it to me. But acting like it's my fault. They're like, go to Toys R Us and get anything you want. Okay. Oh, you have too much stuff. I don't have a bank account. I'm 15 years old. You bought the shit for me. Stop buying me shit. I appreciate it, but then don't yell at me the next day like I do too much. They said we were so bad. And then the new generation makes me look like freaking, I look like a Native American, like I look like an Aztec warrior compared to these losers. They're like, I don't even know who I am anymore. It's like, dude, get a job. They're like, job? I can't get a job. I might, there may be a virus there. I need to just sit at home and play Twitch stream. I'm like, dude, you guys, I appreciate how pathetic you guys are because you make me look like super macho. I mean, I'm pretty cool. I'm pretty tough, but like compared to you, I look like a UFC fighter, These kids like, I don't even know who I am anymore. I put a bonnet on my head and now I don't know. I might identify as a hammock. I rock back and forth sometimes on a chair. Maybe I'm a hammock. And I'm like, what? You're a hammock? They're like, yeah, the ADL says my pronouns are more important than your... It's like, whatever. I do appreciate it, though. You're making me look really cool. And, it's easy to meet people, too, because, like, everyone's so pathetic that everyone's, like, throwing themselves at you. They're like, oh, my God, please date me. It's like, I'm just kidding. But seriously, it's like, compared to these millennials, they're like, there's a bunch of, like, women, like, looking for, like, guys, and they're like, I'm a bonnet. And she's like, I want to start a family. Like, I want a strong man that can protect me. And he's like, protect you? That's sexist. I'd rather eat Beyond Meat and look like Bill Gates. And they're, like, disgusting, So I appreciate how pathetic you guys are because you're making everything very easy for me. But at the same time, get it together, America. Millennials are way cooler than Gen X and Gen Z. I'm a millennial supremacist. No, I'm just kidding. They're going to take that out of context and be like, he said he's a millennial. I think millennials are better. It's a joke. Calm down, Jerry. Jerry at the fact checker organization. He's like, I mean, I wear a bonnet sometimes. Is that sexist? It's like, dude, do some push-ups. Get off the computer. Stop being an operative for the world establishment. It's not fulfilling. You're not a good person. Stop being so dishonest. But if we don't fact check, who's going to tell the truth? You're not even... Who are you people? Who are you? I'm not saying that people don't need to be corrected sometimes. I'm just asking politely, who are you that you get to tell everybody what's true and what's not? I want to see you. Not because I want to hurt your feelings or make you unsafe. I'm just like curious, like... I guarantee these people look like idiots and they sound like idiots. Like, let me find the brave fact checker who's proud of his job and wants to be public. Because I'm not trying to, like, make an anonymous person public. But, like, come on a podcast with me. Debate me. I guarantee you're an idiot. I guarantee I mop the floor with you. I guarantee you can't be intellectually challenged. I guarantee you look like a dumbass. I guarantee I mop the floor with you metaphorically in a debate. Oh, that's a threat. Oh, he said he's going to mop the floor with me. That's violence because I'm not a mop. And if I hit the floor, I'm going to hit my head. And it's like, it's a metaphor. Like, metaphors are racist. There was a metaphor one time and someone said a metaphor at January 6th. There was a QAnon shaman who did a metaphor. He said a metaphor before he raided the Capitol. It's like, just stop. They're acting like I'm like, yo, I'm gonna call you guys out for your life. They're like, you're threatening me. You're threatening my entire career with your idiocracy. So debate me, you frauds. No. We don't need to debate. We work for the government. We work for the big corporations that get donor money. But we're bipartisan. Yeah, you're about as bipartisan as CNN. You might be bisexual or bipolar. That was like a Twitter joke. Someone was like, everybody's bi nowadays. Every woman's bi. You just have to figure out if they're bisexual or bipolar. It's a funny joke. Someone said that on Twitter, and like someone, I think at the Washington Post or New York Times retweeted it, and he had to like apologize and go on like, and go on like a whole like sorry tour, because he made like retweeted a joke about bipolar and bisexual. It's like, that's a funny joke. They imagine being left wing nowadays. You can't even joke. Like, your joke has to be approved. Like, did you just make fun of a group? It's like, yeah, that's the whole point of comedy. You make fun of everything. It's not funny if you can't make fun of things. It's actually like not fun. Did you just make fun of a transgender? Did you just make fun of a homeless person? It's like, I don't know. Did I? Whatever. Someone said they're mentally insane. A lot of them are. Misery loves company. They're physically suffering a lot of times, mentally suffering, and psychologically suffering, so they try to spread their misery on you. I'm going to leave everyone with this, because I really think this is the most important thing. Self-awareness is so important, because self-accountability is when you hold yourself accountable, but that can't start until you're aware of who you are. Like, if you know yourself, nobody could tell you anything about yourself. Nobody's perfect. You have flaws. I'm sure you make mistakes. Like, I'm not saying I'm a perfect person. I'm certainly not, but I'm aware of who I am. I get it. You know, my flaws, my sins, I understand it, and I'm working towards it, and I at least admit to myself it's not right. That's the fascinating thing about certain things. It's not that people do wrong things. It's just that they act like the wrong things are amazing. I could point to the wrong things in my life and be like, I'm working on it. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not like I have that bad of habits, but it's like there are way worse things out there. But it's like, I'm aware that not everything I do is great. It's like if you eat like 5 bowls of ice cream at 1 a.m., self-awareness is like, hey, I just ate 5 bowls of ice cream at 1 a.m., it's not the best habit in the world, but it did taste good, and it is what it is. You know, that's called self-awareness. Having no self-awareness is, I just ate 5 bowls of ice cream, and that's the greatest thing ever. There's no negative health consequences to it all, and tomorrow I'm going to identify as an ice cream bowl to make myself feel better about me eating ice cream. That's what not having self-awareness looks like. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even getting to self-accountability yet. I don't care what people do, but like, even people that make mistakes and have issues, it's like, I'm aware. Having self-awareness is the first step, and it makes you from like a really shitty person to a good person. Like, having self-awareness, telling the truth to yourself, even when you're messing up. I'm not saying it, there's a lot of right-wingers with no self-awareness. I'm not saying it's specifically a political thing, but I am saying like the left-wing new trend is like, have no self-awareness at all, none. And then when it comes to self-accountability, I'm not saying all right-wingers are perfect. A lot of them are frauds. A lot of them have no self-awareness or self-accountability. But when this discussion comes along of like, hey, let's talk about self-accountability, fitness, you know, mental health, like taking care of yourself, not being like 500 pounds overweight, you know, not just aborting things all the time, and like understanding like sexual discipline is actually a good thing, even if you don't have it, just aware, right? Self-awareness. Even if you're banging people all the time, the awareness to be like, this probably isn't the best thing. That's called self-awareness. Banging people all the time and being like, this is awesome, I'm going to get my abortion and birth control because it's amazing. That's no self-awareness. Even if you're doing stuff, being aware that you don't want to do it again is like so important. It's what makes you like a decent person. You know, nobody's perfect, but they have no self-awareness. So how are you going to have self-accountability when you don't even have self-awareness, you know? It's fascinating, but that's why to me it's like root level, it's like so important to just be aware. The difference between self-awareness and self-accountability. You can't be accountable, you can't hold yourself accountable if you're not even being honest about what it is. And I think even if you're making a lot of mistakes, even if you have sins and flaws that you can't get over, to me it makes, and I'm not saying like you should just sit there and do the wrong thing all the time, but it's like as a human there are certain things that like, you know, everybody has certain flaws. Just being at bare minimum aware that it's not the greatest thing and that there's improvements that you can make in your life. That's how you get on the road to being a better person and making improvements, even if they're slight. Having no awareness is like wild. You know, it's just wild. It's like if you're 500 pounds, say you're literally 500 pounds, right? Even if you don't want to lose any weight, I don't even care. It's not my life. Why would I care? But if you're 500 pounds and you understand, hey, I'm not going to lose the weight because I don't feel like it. It's not that important to me. However, I am aware that it is harder to do stuff because I'm so overweight. It's harder to breathe. It's harder to walk. It's harder to run. It's harder to have stamina. That's the reality of my life. Having that awareness to be like, it literally does this to me and I know this. That makes you a better person than someone that's like I'm 500 pounds. Everyone should be fat. And I'm going to write a 300-page book on why you should exercise your right to be fat instead of exercising in a gym. There's literal books like that. I've read like a woman's feminist book where it's like, exercise your right to be fat, exercise your right to be free. I'm like, no, literally just exercise. You know, it's like they're like doing like metaphors. It's like self-awareness, the awareness of like, I'm not going to fully change it right now, but maybe at some point I might, because I understand, I am self-aware that this is causing issues. It's the same as like, I'm self-aware that I sit too much and I'm on my phone too much. I've been improving it recently and not being on it like barely at all, but it's like when you sit a lot, your back, you know, this is actually, I'll just show you real quick. This is a stand-up desk, you know, it's pricey, but you know, see you guys. I got a stand-up desk. I'm going to put it back down. That moves because I work from home, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't sit down all the time. It's not healthy. My back hurts. I've always had a bad back, you know? So now that I have a stand-up desk, I stand up some of the time and I feel a little bit better. You know, it's like it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you self-hating to have awareness of like things you're doing in your life that are not maximizing your perfect potential. So we'll leave on that. God bless you guys. Appreciate you. Have a beautiful day. And I'm going to just run through my links real quick. Patreon.com/RareTalk. Thank you everybody supporting on there. Thank you everybody supporting on Facebook, YouTube, whether it be super chats, subscriber badges, all that. I appreciate it. Because I'm self-managed and I do stuff, sometimes I run a little bit behind. I super apologize, but I'm running so many different things. I had 2 events last week where I had to travel to Palm Springs and Vegas. So I hosted a conference, I spoke at a conference, I did 2 rap performances. So when I'm doing stuff in person, I do all my own stuff. It makes it a little more difficult. So it's all good, but I just appreciate you guys. Thank you to everybody supporting on Patreon. Thank you to everybody listening on Dream Rare Podcast, my live show. Thank you to everybody on Telegram. It's t.me/DreamRareChat. It's right there. Or if you want to just search it, all my live streams I put up before on Telegram, Dream Rare Chat, and you get a 2-minute notification before if you want to catch it live. If not, it'll be on BitChute, Rumble, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and the hat, godblesshats.com. We have, I think once I sell out of these hats, I'll probably get more hats, but like I've bought so much merch and spent so much money on it. It's all good. It's all selling and stuff, but I haven't bought new stuff in a while. So I think I'm going to do like a new collection of different styles. So if you like the stuff I have now, get it before it's gone. And that's what it is. Appreciate you guys. And thank you to everybody signing up on Patreon. I will do another podcast this month at a certain point. This is going to be a little hectic month for me as well, but it's all good. It's all in good fun. And I'm definitely trying to travel more, see my family more, and go to more live events, because that's like a new part of my career. I want to do more live shows, not just music, but live speaking events, hosting stuff, and, you know, networking and getting booked for stuff like that, because it's fun to meet people. It's fun to talk. And as somebody that talks on the computer quite often, it's also just fun to live in the real world, leave my phone behind, and have like 8 hours of like human experience that's not like staring at a webcam. But I like this. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I'm trying to do more of that. Appreciate you guys. Have a beautiful day, and I will be